So Ella Bright from Off Campus, the character that completely blindsided us with her depth and backstory in Season 2? Well, nobody's talking about the fact that her entire character arc makes zero sense if you don't know what happened to her before the show started. And I'm talking about something so crucial that it literally explains why she makes every single decision she does on screen. Stick around, because we're about to uncover the Ella Bright story Netflix isn't promoting. Alright, so here's the thing about Off Campus. It's based on the Off Campus book series by Miranda Hanfler. And the Netflix adaptation already changed a ton of stuff from the source material. But when it comes to Ella Bright's backstory, the show barely scratches the surface. The books dive deep into who she was before she became the character we see, struggling with her own identity on campus. And honestly, that backstory is what makes her entire journey hit so much harder. Think about it. When you first watched Ella in Season 1, did her behavior seem random? She was just being indecisive or confused about what she wanted? Wrong. There's a reason for everything, and it all traces back to something that happened years before she ever set foot on that campus. And once you understand that, you're going to re-watch every single scene she's in with completely different eyes. So let's talk about who Ella Bright was before Off Campus. In the books, we learn that Ella grew up in a very strict, controlled household. Her parents had incredibly rigid expectations for her future. And rigid. We're talking about the parenting where your life path is basically already decided for you before you're even old enough to have your own opinions about it. Here's where it gets important. Ella wasn't allowed to make her own choices. At all. Not about school, not about friends, not about literally anything that mattered. Her parents had this master plan, and Ella was supposed to be the perfect daughter who executed it flawlessly. And for years, she did. She got good grades. She stayed out of trouble. She did exactly what she was told. But here's the psychological part that the show only hints at. That kind of control breeds resentment. It breeds doubt. It breeds this deep fear of making decisions on your own because you've never actually had to before. So when Ella finally gets to college and suddenly has this insane amount of freedom, it absolutely terrifies her. She doesn't know who she is outside of her parents' expectations. And that's the core of her character's struggle throughout Off Campus. The show touches on this, right? We see Ella being uncertain, being pulled in different directions, not knowing what she actually wants versus what she thinks she should want. But the books make it crystal clear. This isn't just teenage confusion. This is trauma from years of emotional control. This is what happens when you strip a kid of agency for their entire childhood. And here's the part nobody's talking about. Ella's relationships on the show? They're not just random romantic drama. They're extensions of her trying to figure out who she is. Every guy she gets involved with represents a different version of herself she's testing out. The bad boy, the safe choice, the forbidden option. She's literally trying on different identities because she's never had one of her own. The books go even further and show us specific moments from her childhood that shaped this. There are scenes where young Ella tries to express her own preferences and gets shut down. There are conversations where her parents make it clear that her job is to be what they need her to be, not what she needs to be for herself. It's subtle psychological control, and it's devastating. And then, this is crucial, Ella gets to college thinking that just being away from her parents will fix everything. She thinks freedom will automatically equal happiness, equal confidence, equal knowing who she is. But it doesn't work that way. She gets to campus and realizes she has no idea how to make decisions. She doesn't know what she actually wants because she's never asked herself that question before. This is why the show's portrayal of Ella is actually genius, even if it doesn't explicitly spell all of this out. Her indecisiveness isn't a flaw, it's a symptom. Her tendency to look to others for validation, that's not neediness. That's what happens when your entire self-worth was built on pleasing other people. Her fear of disappointing people, that's the aftermath of living in a system where your entire value was conditional on obedience. The Netflix version simplifies some of this, but you can still see it if you're paying attention. The moments where Ella doubts herself, where she questions whether she's making the right choice, where she seems almost paralyzed by indecision, those are all echoes of her pre-college trauma. If you're into this kind of character deep dive stuff, understanding the psychology behind why characters do what they do, you gotta hit subscribe, because we do this breakdown constantly with shows that actually deserve this level of analysis. Now let's talk about how this backstory specifically impacts the Ella we see in Off Campus. On her romantic decisions. The books make it explicit. Ella sabotages her own relationships because she's afraid of repeating her parents' dynamic. If she commits fully to someone, is she giving up her agency again? Is she going to become dependent? Is she going to lose herself? So she keeps one foot out the door in every relationship. The show definitely plays with this, especially in how she handles the main romantic tension. But without the backstory context, it just looks like she's being annoying and indecisive. With the context, it's heartbreaking because you realize she's trying to protect herself from a cage she's already escaped. On her friendships, Ella is constantly looking to her friends for validation and guidance. In the books, there's this realization where she literally goes to a friend and asks them to help her make a decision. And the friend is like, "No, you decide. What do you want?" And Ella has this breakdown because she genuinely doesn't know. She's spent her entire life outsourcing her decision-making to authority figures. Her friends are the first people who've ever told her that her wants and needs actually matter. On her academic path, here's something the show barely touches on, but the books are clear about. Ella's major choice is not what her parents wanted. That's actually huge. It's her first real act of independence, and it terrifies her. She keeps waiting for them to find out and pull the plug. Keep waiting for the punishment that always came when she deviated from the plan. The anxiety around this is constant in the books. On her sense of self. By the end of the first book, which the show is adapting, Ella is starting to understand that she's allowed to just exist. Not perform. Not live up to expectations. Not earn her worth through obedience. Just exist and be enough. The Netflix version shows glimpses of this journey, but it's subtle. The books are a full emotional excavation. So here's my question for you, and I want you to answer in the comments. Do you think the Netflix show did justice to Ella's character? Or do you think they watered down the psychological complexity from the books? Because honestly, I think they nailed the vibe, but missed the depth. Let me know what you think down below. And if you haven't read the Off-Campus books and you're thinking about it now, definitely do. Seriously, the character work in those is next level, and Ella's story is absolutely central to understanding why this whole series resonates so hard. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.